This video is going to be my reaction to the Seahawks 26-21 win over the Jets Sunday afternoon. A real bloodbath of a game from an offensive standpoint. Seattle improves to 7-5 overall, gains a chance to really put a tremendous amount of distance between themselves and the rest of the division with a road trip to Arizona next week to take on the Cardinals. The offense was extremely inconsistent, obviously, and special teams far worse in the first half in particular. I think the kickoff team gave up a return touchdown, and the kick return team had two fumbles, or three, I guess. Only one of Chenault's fumbles counts. They fell behind 21-7 on the road to Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Really looked ominous at that point, but Leonard Williams is playing like a defensive player of the year candidate in the last 2 weeks. He's really just amazing today. He had the 92-yard interception return for a touchdown. That one got Seattle within 21-13 in the second quarter, and it was bleak at that point. At that moment, Seattle was probably staring 24-7 in the face, or maybe 28-7. In fact, the defense overall harassed Rodgers, and the Jets wide receivers, they were very inefficient. I know that Davante Adams, gave them issues early on, and even at third down in the second half. But overall, Rodgers was only 21 of 39 passing for 185 yards. Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson did have 10 catches, but it took them 22 targets to get that. Extreme levels of inefficiency, if you ask me, from their offense. I'm going to let some stats flow through here. If you're unfamiliar with my reaction videos, I normally will try to let some stats flow through, and then I'll review the 10th possession where Seattle takes a lead late in the fourth quarter. Breece Hall did have some good moments. I think his biggest run of the day was called back for a Jets penalty in the second half. The Jets had a tremendous amount of penalties, I think 12 on the day. Seattle's defense held them to 89 rushing yards on 21 attempts. If you now look at Seattle's defense in the last 4 weeks, they're giving up just over 84 rushing yards per game against the Rams, 49ers, Cardinals, and Jets combined. 3-1 in that stretch, 3-game winning streak at this point. Very easily could be 4-0. A total of 337 rushing yards across 16-plus quarters, if you count the overtime loss to the Rams there, where Matt Stafford beats them with a long pass into the end zone. But if you go back to Leonard Williams for a moment, and look, Julian Love played spectacular as well. He had 6 tackles, 1 pass defense, critical play on a screen late in the fourth quarter on that failed drive for the Jets where Aaron Rodgers eventually throws it deep on, I think, 4th and 15, and Reek Woolen is there. But he had a critical tackle leading up to that. Love tackled the running back on a screen, a 2nd and 10 screen pass, forced a 3rd and 10, as the Jets were threatening to take the lead late. Williams, in the last 2 weeks, he has 4.5 sacks, 6 quarterback hits. He actually had a sack wiped out today by a face mask. I believe he may have had one wiped out last week by a penalty on someone else. In this case today, it was a face mask on him grabbing Aaron Rodgers. He also had that interception return. That really flipped the game around at a time when the special teams and the offense was awful. It almost reminded me of week 1, where the defense is put in uphill situations and is bailing them out early. And by the time you hopefully get some things fixed, special teams and the offense finally getting some points on the board, you were able to pull away and gain a victory. I don't know about you guys. You obviously watch every single Seahawks game. This is the one today. This is one of the few today, lately, that I'll be able to watch live and do a reaction video for. It reminded me of week 1 where the special teams and offense was self-destructing and the defense held. Could have been worse than 21-7 if it were not for Leonard Williams' pick 6. I don't know how you get this done today. It really flipped the momentum at a time when the offense wasn't giving up points, but they were certainly putting the defense in bad situations. I think the last 2 weeks, Williams is physically dominant, and it seems like in pass rush situations, the Seahawks defensive staff is picking a player to put him on. In this case, I thought today it was the left guard on 3 different moments. And now you get a rematch with the Cardinals. If you win that one, as a Seahawks fan, you should be real excited. However, there are tough opponents on the schedule afterwards. This one could almost be considered a must-win because you have games left against the Packers, Vikings, and Rams, and then one with the Bears sandwiched in there as well. Now, even though Leonard Williams only had 2 sacks today, the only 2 sacks, I should say, for Seattle, the defensive coverage made the Jets inefficient. I know that Job had trouble, especially early. He did give up the touchdown to Davante Adams. It's just a mismatch, and Aaron Rodgers identified that. Woolen did have two bad reps in the second half as well, but he was there on the one that mattered, the final play where Rodgers is really throwing up a prayer on the 4th and 15, and I believe it's Woolen over the top. Like I said earlier, Rodgers finished 21 of 39 passing. Really tough for them, New York, to get anything consistent going. After the Seahawks fell behind 14-0, check out what their defense did. This is and look, the second touchdown for the Jets was a 4-play, 27-yard drive that was made possible following the fumble by D. Williams on the kick return. So after falling behind 14-0 and then 21-7 as well, here are the Seattle Seahawks defensive possessions thereafter. 6 plays, 29 yards. That's Williams' interception return for a touchdown to get within 21-13. The extra point's blocked. And then the Jets get the ball back. 4 plays, 8 yards, turnover on downs. 6 plays, 20 yards, punt, still in the second quarter. You got the end of the half. Seattle opens the second half with 3 consecutive stops. And those 3 drives totaled 60 yards on 13 plays. Eventually, Seattle is able to close to 21-19. Now, that's the situation where Dixon, the punter / holder, is hurt, comes back on, and they convert the 43-yarder. I think they got within 21-19. To that point, the offense had not been able to finish anything off since their 4th possession. And the Seahawks were somewhat fortunate in that 4th quarter. An offensive pass interference on Adams. He was battling Witherspoon with a 42-yard catch. I do think it was pass interference. It negated that gain, so forced a 3-and-out by the Jets. Here is what Seattle answered with, and I think the offense deserves some criticism, but also deserves some praise for this 10th possession. The run game didn't get going from an overall standpoint today, overall production. Walker only finished with 49 yards on 16 carries, but there were moments where they had some things that they were able to get accomplished. On this particular drive, certainly penalties by the Jets helped them out a ton. The 4th and 6, the Jets end up with, that's the 4th play down, from the top for you guys. The Jets end up with 12 on the field. Unconscionable mistake by them. The 4th and 1, throw to Metcalf against Stiggers, obviously a defensive pass interference. And then the ensuing play was kind of interesting to me. It's a reverse to JSN on a 1st and 10. It's the 6th play down for you guys from the top. I think Gardner and Michael Carter are out for that play. If you recall, that's the one where Carter, 2 plays earlier, had come off the field, possibly faking an injury. Ends up being a reverse to JSN, create a 2nd and 6. Noah Fant had a terrible block on this play. 2nd and 6 from the 38. It's a run concept. Reddick goes over the top. Really horrible angle, if you ask me. Metcalf looks like he's going to get the first down on the 3rd and 5. A little drag from underneath. They've been running that concept all year with him from a tight alignment left to right. And Stiggers with a great tackle. And I didn't like this play call. I don't know about you. It's the 4th and 1 from the 33. A little bit more than halfway down you guys' screen. Bunch left closed out of 11 personnel. And Charbonnet is stopped cold by a host of guys. Now, granted, if the DN number 94 doesn't commit the horse collar, then Charbonnet probably has momentum to get close to the first down or even gain it. I actually suspect he would have gained it. But the second time that the Jets give them a first down via penalty. I did not like the pitch play either. I know I'm sounding critical here. Fortunately, the very next play, Fant got 11 yards on a slot out to the left-hand side. I believe it was to the boundary. And then the 3rd and 6, the Jets are offsides again, creating the 3rd and 1. And Seattle went to this set from 12 personnel multiple times on the day with Charbonnet. And I believe I may have this marked incorrectly, where you see 3rd and 1, 8, that's yard line, 12 personnel. I think it might have been 21 personnel. I could be wrong here. One of those situations where Charbonnet and Walker are in, and they would usually motion Walker across. In this case, no one motioned across, and it was just a give downhill to Charbonnet. He punched it in from 8 yards out. Really, at that point, I think anyone who's watching the game from a impartial standpoint understood that it was probably over. However, the Jets were still able to get a long drive going and convert really a miraculous 3rd and 26 after Williams' sack, and he was a monster. He had 2 sacks on this drive, by the way. This one was after an 11-yard loss where he sacked Rodgers, creates a 3rd and 26, and even though Aaron Rodgers is not having a great season, clearly, and he was inefficient today, this play illustrates what he can get done in difficult situations, high-leverage situations. 3rd and 26 against a Seattle defense that was chewing them up. I think, for the better part of the second, third, and fourth quarters. And he gets the ball to the running back. I think he's a rookie from one of the Dakota schools for a 24-yard gain. And then the 4th and 2 completion to Adams against Woolen. It's just a laser, a difficult cover for Woolen or anybody down there with Adams because he's got so many options. He can run a slant, he can run a shake fade, a back shoulder fade. And then in this case, it was a short back shoulder throw on a 4th and 2. Kind of everybody knew the ball was going there, but for me, it's difficult to judge Woolen harshly. I thought once he went over there on Adams is when Adams at least had someone to deal with him and could make him be a little bit less efficient. Because when you had Job on him, there was just nothing that could get done. Williams eventually has another sack on a 3rd and 10 after the Jets have reached the 29. I'm sure as a Seahawks fan, you were nervous at that point. Huge differential between winning this game on the road and possibly losing. To be 7-5 heading into the rematch with Arizona, I think is a tremendous accomplishment for this team, number one, and for Mike Macdonald and his staff in the first year. The final play, I thought Kobe Bryant was on a blitz, got a quarterback hit. The camera kind of panned away because Rodgers throws the ball into infield. So brilliant move by Mike Macdonald and the defensive staff to bring pressure off the edge. That seems to be their answer sometimes on 4th downs. And it shouldn't surprise you. It certainly doesn't surprise me. I call it the glitch blitz. That's actually what Leonard Williams' pick 6 was today. Is called the glitch blitz. I'll do a One Play Wednesday video about that and show you not only Leonard Williams' pick 6, but also multiple versions of it that Mike Macdonald has run. And I'm not aware of where it came from, to be honest with you. It's tremendously effective. You play man defense, but blitz people off the edge, but 2 D tackles are dropping out of there. They're not playing man, clearly. They're just dropping and reading the quarterback, trying to get in throwing lanes, get in windows, while the athletes, the nickel or a DB, blitz off the edge. And presumably, you have an athletic advantage with the blitzers. Those guys are able to, number one, get a free rush, because the D tackles and D ends have to be occupied for. And then number 2, no quick throws are available to the quarterback because the defensive tackles are dropping into those throwing lanes underneath. And in this case, Williams, I thought, dropped underneath of Adams, and then it actually ended up being a Z-under concept from a slot out that was lined up outside of Adams. Williams dropped out on it perfectly. So whatever they do to practice it, again, I call it the glitch blitz. In Seattle, you guys will probably have to come up with your own name for it, but in any case, I intend to do a video that shows you the history or the usage of it, at least in terms of my awareness. I have no idea where Mike Macdonald got it from originally. I appreciate you guys' time, man, for checking out this reaction video. Let me know in the comment section how difficult it was, how excited you were when you saw Seattle convert multiple first downs, go down and punch it in Charbonnet on the 3rd and 1 for an 8-yard touchdown, and then knowing that what Aaron Rodgers is capable of, able to get a stop there on that final possession. Leonard Williams, in my opinion, played a huge role there in many of those situations, and you're able to get a critical stop to get your 7th win of the year. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Congratulations. It's not fun as a Ravens fan necessarily to watch Mike Macdonald work his magic out there, but it's also not surprising to see the defense really coming together and playing with a lot of passion and excitement. And to me, you could see it maybe middle, late 3rd quarter that they knew, Seattle's defense knew, that they kind of had things under control. Appreciate you guys' time, man. If you think other Seahawks fans would enjoy my reaction video to Seattle's 26-21 win in New York against the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, then please consider grabbing a link to this video. Please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.